I mean, I've sat there with somebody one day. This was a long time ago, and it was a psychologist, a child psychologist. He was coming up to hang out, get some help, get some bearings. And I noticed that he had a pretty nasty demon in him. It was just this thing, and you kind of look at him, and it's almost like the demon in him was telling you how you were going to interact with them. It's like he had this kind of presence about him that you will only interact with me the way I want you to. That's how a demon operates. Subtly. And I'm looking at him, and I can sense this about him, that, okay, if I talk to him the way he wants me to, then this is going to be a pleasant conversation for him, and nothing will come of it. I said, but let me just trigger that demon. And I looked at him. I said, hey, man, I'm going to do something that's going to freak you out. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to summon the thing up inside. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, there's something very nasty inside of you, and it needs to come out. And I can see it, and I can smell it, I can hear it, I can feel it. And all of a sudden, his face changes. I mean, it contorts. And there it is, right? And I'm looking at him, right? And he's looking at me. And then it was strange. It was like a shift in the room. And the experience I had was, there he is sitting in a chair. But there he is sitting in a chair. But he's watching the behavior coming from him towards me, right? And so I'm sitting there going at it with him. And I would turn and look at the real him and go, you see what you got inside of you? He's like, holy shit, man. Holy shit. Holy shit. But then when I go back to talk to this thing, it was pissed off. Went on for like 20 minutes. Finally got that thing out. It's like, just ridicule the shit out of it until it leaves, because it doesn't like that. It doesn't like to be called names. So then you turd, whatever you want to call it. Once it left, he's sitting there, and he kind of merges back together. I've been looking at that thing for a very long time. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're doing here, right? He's like, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know that's what it was. He said it just felt like this urgency and, kind of fear in me. I'm like, yeah, that's what that was. And he was just shocked that happened, And he's like, how do I bring that into psychiatry? And I said, well, you quit your job because they won't allow it. Because the minute you do that, they're going to think you're off your rocker. I mean, when you have a whole world so completely had the wool pulled over their eyes that what the experts tell you is real is all that's real. And you look up in the stars and you go, yep, whatever they say is real. And you can look up into that and apply all that realness to that. You're a fucking idiot. This is nothing but a giant mystery. Even Earth itself. There are so many things that go on this planet. They're so unexplainable, so mysterious, so out of this world. It's just that there's nobody around witnessing them. Occasionally there is. And now with cell phones, you see a little bit of it. Like, whoa, what was that? Yeah, what was that? It's like you see these videos, a lot of it goes on in Mexico, where there's just a cell phone at the middle of the night. You see this fucking creature walking down the street. That's CGI. It's like, there's your identity again with all of its reason and rationality and blocking everything down and making sure everything's commodified. Poor me. No, those things exist. And I've seen them myself, so I know they exist, so I don't have to be convinced. But it's almost like when that side of life reveals itself to people, a lot of times they just close the window. They don't want anything to do with that. It's like, but when are you going to bring life into life? Because that's part of it. The stuff that you're afraid of is part of it. The stuff you run from, that's part of life. Stuff you resist and you flail about and you make bad decisions around, those things are part of this life. And unless we can integrate that and bring that all to one place of balance, there's no freedom for anybody. There will always be an expert. There will always be a government, a president, or something, just holding you down and telling you what's real, and you can't do this and you can't do. I mean, look at plant medicines. Who's the fucking victim in this crime? I mean, if I'm going to sit here, say I want to sit here and I want to take a nice big shot of plant medicine that my government says you're not allowed to do that. Who the fuck died and made you God?